Okay, today's the 6th of November. It happened to be my birthday, and I just found out the Fraps 3.0 was released, which got me kind of excited because it's a new generation. It has a new UI, or GUI, sorry. And yeah, I'm going to be going over my settings and also some of the new features in 3.0. So let's jump right into Fraps here. So as you can see, we're running version 3.0.0, build 10475. And I'll just be going over my settings because I've been getting a lot of questions about what they are. Alright, so let's move on to the FPS tab. There's not much new here. Basically what it is you can benchmark FPS frame times, min max AVG, stop benchmark after whatever, overlay hotkey. Now these are for the overlay of the FPS, so whenever you're in a game, Fraps will tell you your FPS in two yellow digits, and when you're recording they'll turn red. So basically this just allows you to choose which corner they are in, and the overlay hotkey basically switches them around. You can also hide the overlay, only update overlay once a second, which you could do, but I don't really see the point of that. So let's move on to the movies tab, which is probably the most important tab and the one that has most of the stuff in it. After all, you're recording the screen. So basically, here are some good tips on improving FPS with Fraps. First of all, save it in a different drive. I always record to local disk D, or the D drive, just a different drive from which you boot off, because it gives the main drive more read-write capability whilst you're recording, which is what you're doing, which you're gaming. So if you do have a spare drive lying around, just record to that drive. It'll save you at least 5 FPS whenever. It's a really good tip I learned a while back actually. Okay, so this is the video capture hotkey. This is a hotkey you use to record. Now I set mine to grave ascent, which is the key next to number 1, at least on my keyboard. And here, let's move down to video capture settings. Now full size is, I always use full size. I see no point for half size yet. Half size basically just squeezes your screen into half the size of your screen, so it's just like the rest is just like a black bar. So I always use full size, obviously. And here are my custom FPS, 29.97 frames per second, which I always use. I use that in my Sony Vegas, I use it in my After Effects compositions. I'll always use 29.97. The reason is, some games when you put it to 60 FPS, it records at 60 FPS, meaning it's faster. It's like, you know, if you record it say 15 FPS, it's slower. If it's 60 FPS, it's faster, and 30 FPS is normal. So I just leave it at 29.97, which usually DVDs use. Let's move on to the sound capture settings. Now this is a big new feature in 3.0. Basically, you can record your mic or an external input as well as your game, which you could do if you Google around a bit. You could do that as well currently, but it's nice to have the feature in Fraps itself. So if we check record external input, we can record our microphone, which is what I'm using now with my recorder. But basically, yeah, stereo, multi-channel, I leave it on stereo. Okay, don't sync audio and video. Now this boosts FPS, so if you are recording something that you are going to take the audio out of later in Vegas or whatever, I would highly recommend taking this box. It gives you 4 to 10 FPS depending on what game you're playing. Hide mouse cursor in video. Pretty straightforward, just hides your cursor. Force lossless RGB capture, maybe slower. Basically this forces it to not lose any of the RGB attributes in the video. Pretty straightforward again. Okay, so with that covered, let's go into the screenshot tab, and here we have our screenshot options, which obviously where it saves, the capture key, what key takes the screenshot. Mine's F10 currently. We have the image format. I usually take JPEG. Bitmap, not so good. You can't really edit it much, or you know, it's harder to edit. It's just a hard format to work in. and lower quality. So either JPEG or PNG, that's what I would opt for, but that's my opinion. I'm sure a lot of people would disagree. Include frame rate overlay on screenshots. Obviously this is the 2 digits that'll display your frame rate. If you want them to stay in the image, check that. If you don't, leave it off. And repeat screen capture every 10 seconds. You can change this so it'll record a series of them at an interval, which is nice actually. So yeah, that's basically it for the screenshot as well. I hope that you find this useful for whatever reason you need it, and I'll be going to do something else now besides the sitting on the computer, which I guess is pretty sad right now for being my birthday, but you know, I'm sure you'll find this useful, and that's about it for today.